Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Scoundrel AFK Journey. I hope you're having a lovely day. This is going to be a weird video because there isn't really a point to it. It's more just rambling, talking about AFK Journey progression, but it's mostly about the Trials of Abyss. What you're going to notice when you get to Trials of Abyss is that it is relatively simple to progress through at least the first 100 levels. Between 100 and 200 it gets a little tricky at certain stages, and then once you unlock 240 resonance and upwards, you will like rocket all the way through to like the sort of mid 200s, and then you'll get to the point where I'm at, where every single level is some kind of ridiculous puzzle that requires a certain composition to get through, and I have been pretty much exclusively going to the records, looking at how people have got through certain levels. So for instance, this is clearly an Odie setup level, so I could probably give it a go, but the fight has obviously had to go on for a ludicrous amount of time because like Odie has dealt 37 million damage to a... So I'm top 10 on my server for Trial of Abyss progression, not because I have the best comps, not because I technically have the best teams, but it's almost certainly because I just have the most patience when it comes to doing some of these levels, and that is the truth of the high level Trial of Abyss. From floor 270 to 300, almost 25 of those required me to look at the replays of people who have completed it, set up my comp the same way they have, and pray that the RNG is in my favor. And the most obnoxious levels were the ones where you had to manually cast Odie to make sure that he wasn't just going for the first target possible. Those were the most obnoxious levels because you had to just manually cast, and even if you manually cast correctly, you were still potentially at the mercy of RNG in that fight. So it is very tough to climb the upper levels of the Trials of Abyss. And when you see someone advertising a comp, myself included, so please, when I talk about it, it's obviously I'm going to use clickbait on YouTube. That's just kind of how the game is played. I try to be as informative and as useful as possible. But obviously, when there's no comp that's going to be every single level in the game. And what I do in Trials of Abyss is I look at the replays and just go for if I can build the comp on the replays. There was only one level where I had to make up my own comp. But if you can build the comp on the replays and just go for it, then that's what I've been doing. But it is so RNG dependent. What you will find, and this has become very apparent to me, is when you climb to the higher levels Trials of Abyss, you will find yourself restarting in the first 5 seconds more than any other piece of content in the game. Because essentially what happens is like a lot of the levels for me were, did my Brutus just die? Okay, he did. I needed him to get a Rowan potion. I'm restarting. And that'll be what happens to you to get through Trial of Abyss at the upper levels. So this video is also more of like a sort of a warning to say, look, high level Trials of Abyss are going to be hard. Do not get upset if you're not progressing through them as quickly as you'd like, and do not be upset if you can't beat a level, even if a level seems impossible, because there were several levels that I've said seem impossible. There's some funny guild comms that I will show you as well. We'll go back and have a look at these replays in a minute. I'm going to show you them, but there's some funny guild comms from me just today where I went, floor 296 is literally impossible. Never mind, I did it. So like sometimes it can feel massively impossible, and it just comes down to a bit of RNG. Here's floor 296. It is quite a difficult floor to get through. Now, all of the records had people using Carolina primarily. There were a couple of Cessia ones, but I couldn't make them work. And this is the realization that I've come to at the certain stage of Trial of Abyss. And a lot of high-level players will tell you this. When you get to the later stages of the Trial of Abyss, and even some of the tricky levels like level 115, a lot of it just comes down to getting the absolute best RNG possible. And RNG plays a lot into this. Now, for this fight, I will show you the replay. I'll pause it first. So this fight, this was a really tough one because essentially there is a Sylvina that will jump on your backline and she will just kill you all. She will kill your entire team. So you have to find a way to manipulate the fight so that Sylvina does not go immediately to your backline, gets somehow stuck with the rest of her team, and yeah, essentially you can kind of work your way through it that way. Now, a lot of people were using Carolina. I do not have Carolina. So in this one, what I ended up doing is I jumped out of the replay because I'm an idiot and I do that every single time I want to look at a replay, which now means that we have to go through my extremely slow guild list. There we go. Yeah, it's going to wait. It's going to load. Here we go. Okay. So I had to, and also everyone was running Scarlita, even at just one copy. So I thought, oh, there's no way a Scarlita is going to work for me in this. Surely there's no way a Scarlita is going to work for me. But it did. The Scarlita was actually genuinely useful. It comboed with my Florabelle for like just a massive lockdown on the enemy team for ages. Damien came in absolutely clutch. I would not have been able to beat this level without Damien. But I will tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, this level took me upwards of 50 to 60 tries. And a lot of it was purely just to get some good RNG. And you know what I mean by RNG is that a lot of the times when you do these levels, the movements of the units will be the same. The cast patterns will be the same. If you're auto targeting, pretty much all the time, the auto targeting is going to be the same. But what you're really looking for, especially if you've got these ones where you're playing around Brutus, what you're really looking for is you just don't want the enemy to crit that much in the opening seconds of the fight, because the best way to get around it is to essentially kind of like have your frontline survive as long as possible. There was another one that was immediately after this that I want to show you too, that was just kind of crazy. This was Floor 300. And every single fight had Thorin being the main carry. And I was like, how the hell? We've got 3 supports and Thorin is the main carry here. And this fight took me absolutely ages because it was, and you know, as I'll say, it was so RNG dependent. The where Seth walked to, the HP Seth was at, how much damage they dealt to Thorin so that he could then absorb it and deal a more significant amount of damage back. There was so much RNG in this fight, and this is another level that took me upwards of 40 tries. In the end, I ended up just leaving it on autocast and just kept pressing go again until it won. I just left the setup in the same setup that the replays had won with, and I just thought I'm just going to keep pressing go until it wins because I have the power level with this to do it. And this was a real frustrating one because, again, like I said, it was super reliant on where Seth decided to go, you know, and also how much HP Thorin had, how much he was able to absorb. Like right there, he did a bulk of damage, and then obviously the healing comes through for Seth, and then it's about how quickly you can kill Seth after that. So we did that again. We get another one. Seth's not got any energy, and we kill Seth with the third one here. And then it kind of comes down. I've got to this stage several times, and then it just kind of came down to, okay, am I going to get a good enough Thorin ultimate to kill off the Marilee before she just completely wrecks my entire front line? So it was so RNG dependent, this floor 300. Like, it was just, you had to just YOLO it, essentially. There was really no other way to do it other than put the units in the right formation, just hope that the RNG is in your favor. And that is the real truth about the Tower of Abyss the further you go. You can probably get to 300 you know, without too much pain. I would say, like, if you don't have Mythic plus OD, like, and you don't have maybe a Florabelle comp, an Iron based comp, you might struggle in the 200 range somewhere. Every level is basically solvable with the OD comp, barring a few of them. But once you get to the upper levels of Trial of Abyss, and what I will say is that from about, well, I'll actually show you the leaderboard because that's probably the best thing to do. So I am top 10 on the server right now in Trials of Abyss. So I'm literally number 10. I'm joint with someone, but you can see that all the way up until the top 3, there's like 10 levels difference between us because every level is such an RNG slog. And I would say, so I was at floor 270, and you can see how many people are around the sort of 270 mark. From 270 to 300, there were maybe 5 levels that didn't require me to look at the replay and then just hope RNG was in my favor when I was doing it. Now, and look, the counter argument to that is you just wait to level up and it'll become easier. But, you know, of course, that's the counter argument. My power is still technically higher. When I field a team, my power is still technically higher than the power that I'm going up against in the Trials of Abyss. but it's just because the team comp setups are so insanely obnoxious, and the way that you have to position your comps most of the time is so extremely obnoxious that it requires quite a lot of luck to get through some of these levels. Anyway, thanks for listening to me rant. This was just more of like a bit of advice about Trials of Abyss, and yeah, hope you have a good day. I'll see you guys soon.